So I wanted to come on here and address a few things that I've been working through. And I've talked about it before. I've been going through a spiritual journey for, I don't know, probably since 2020 is really when it started. And I struggled with depression quite a bit because I didn't have anybody to give me advice or help me work through the kind of trauma that I was trying to work through. I started looking back on my childhood, and I was going to start there and work my way up. But I realized that the first traumatic experience that happened to me was really the catalyst, and it created a ripple effect that really just kind of kick-started the rest of my trauma throughout my life. So I decided on my healing journey that I would do reverse trauma, where I work through the most recent experiences that happened to me and go backwards. So adulthood through my teenage years and finally my childhood, infancy, just my innocent years. So in doing that, I realized that that was the best route to go for me, and maybe different for you, but this is how I worked through all of my life trauma all the way back to when I was in second grade. And I know there were experiences that happened to me before that. I'm still working through my childhood trauma, but for right now, I've gotten to about second grade when that catalyst event happened. So reverse trauma healing, for me, that's worked best. Like I said, I was able to go back to through the last 5 years and kind of acknowledge what happened to me, what was said, who said what, the situations I was in, taking accountability for the things that I went through, and knowing that I put myself in certain situations that could have been prevented. But since that's how I thought life was, I really didn't know any better. So addressing that was the most important thing first. Taking accountability for the things that I've done as an adult, that was really the first step of healing on my journey. Realizing what happened that I could have prevented and how I can prevent it in the future. It's important to understand that although you don't deserve the trauma that people put you through, there are ways that you can avoid this happening in the future. Learn from your mistakes, learn from your trauma, heal, grow, and change it for the better. So that's what I've been working on through the whole summer. And I've gone through all of my adult trauma, all the things that happened to me, and there was a lot of narcissistic people, a lot of abusive, physically, mental, psychological, the ringer, really put through the ringer. So working through that, acknowledging what I can change, what I have the power to change, and understanding that through my healing, I've had guidance from my spirit team, from God, knowing that I'm not alone. And even though I can't afford therapy or anything like that, I have spoken to mental wellness doctors, and I seek guidance. I go to NA and AA, so some of these topics are brought up and I'm able to speak on it, which is a great release because these are with people that I can trust that have been through similar situations, maybe not all of it, but some of it, and really just get that guidance that I've always searched for my entire life and never got. So I work through my adult trauma, still healing it, but it's a day-to-day process. So I've gone back to my teenage years, and a lot of that, sorry, setting my stuff down. A lot of that I repressed. There was a lot that happened in my teenage years that I don't particularly remember. Because one of the ways that I dealt with my trauma from childhood was alcohol abuse, drug use, mostly just marijuana and drinking. So a lot of it is not memorable, but I've been working on that. I think through my teenage years, that was a hard one to address. Again, not having the support, not feeling like I could talk to people that would understand me, and So yeah, working through my teenage trauma was difficult for me because of the things that I experienced. Again, still not an adult at that point, so trying to take accountability for the things that happened to me. Again, not all of it was my fault, but the situations and places and people and things that I was put in could have been avoided had I known what I know now. You know, it is what it is. There's nothing I can do to change my past. All I can do is learn to grow and heal from it and help others heal from similar traumas. A number of different things happened to me when I was a teenager, and it's really not about what happened, it's just about my healing journey and how I've overcome it. So, you know, I'll touch on a few things, but I really won't go into detail. I will be writing a book or two that goes a little bit further into the detail of my trauma and the things that I went through. You know, so dealing with date rape, dealing with being drugged, or, you know, just being in places that I should not have been in. Things happened, and it just is what it is. They were hard to deal with, and I was hurt by people that I trusted and that I loved, and it was really, really, really hard to get through that. Again, not having the support of people that really understood where I was coming from. The advice that I was being given was not helping me because it wasn't what I needed to hear. So I really had to work through that teenage trauma. It took a long time. It took the majority of the summer for me to address my younger self and just reassure her that what I went through, what she went through, sorry, she didn't deserve it. I didn't deserve it. But you know, I'm grateful. I'm not grateful for the experience itself, but I am grateful for the life experience that I've gained from it, because everything that I went through made me who I am today. It made me strong. It gave me resilience. And I'm so proud of myself for pushing through the things that I've been through. And like I said, it hasn't been easy, especially working through it pretty much. At the time, I was alone. I felt alone. I've always prayed to God and asked for guidance. I never lost faith, even though I felt like, why would you put me through this? If you were really there for me, speaking to God, I mean, if you were really there for me, why would you put me through this? Why would you allow these things to happen to me my whole life? And I understand it now. I really do. But I didn't when I was younger. And like I said, it was hard to keep the faith. And for a while I lost it. And not only did I lose my faith, I lost myself. And I used drugs and alcohol for coping and started going down the wrong route, hanging out with the wrong people, and really just doing the wrong things. And from my teenage years going into my adulthood, something had happened. I had lost custody of my first child, and it was difficult to not have him in my life every day. He was very young. It was before his second birthday, and the custody battle was like 4 years. It was difficult to deal with. And then in the end, because he had been where he was for so long, the judge decided that it would be more traumatic for my child to be uprooted, even though I was found as a fit parent, because I worked really hard to get to that point. But I was found as a fit parent, and I was awarded visitation with my son, and it took me a long time to be able to accept that was how it was meant to be, and it happened for a reason. And my son is a wonderful human. He just turned 18, and I'm so proud of him. And you know, I'm grateful for his grandparents and helping me raise him. He's just a wonderful person, and he has a really good future, and I'm so proud of him. I'm so proud of you. I'm very proud of you. But you know, so that was rough. my teenage years were the catalyst to that as well. So, I went through a number of different things when I was a teenager. I was very emo. I had my days where I would wear all dark makeup, just goth, kind of rebelling against Spirit in a way. Not only Spirit, but like my parents and society in general. I was very, um, I was a challenging teenager, but I wasn't a bad teenager. I made some poor decisions and I did some stupid things. Um, but I wasn't a bad kid. I mean, some of my friends, well, I'm not going to go into detail about them, but I mean, I could have been worse. It could have been worse. I really was just trying to find myself. That's really all I was trying to do. Um, so once I got through my teenage trauma, which also still working on everything, shadow work is a daily thing. It's something that you have to do every day of your life. Trauma is a scar. It's on you forever. It doesn't go away. All you can do is work through it, address the issue, and try not to make the same mistakes again. Learn from your mistakes. Learn from your past. Um, don't be what you went through. The best way I could put it. So, middle school years, those were rough because I was new. I was a new kid. I didn't, I went to elementary school in a different state. So when I came, I made all of my friends my middle school year, and it was difficult. Um, there was a lot of things that I was going through. Like because of my childhood trauma, I was catapulted into an early puberty. So I was gifted in some areas that a lot of girls my age weren't, and because of that, I was ridiculed. I was made fun of, really just put down for how I looked, and it was jealousy. To be quite frank, they were jealous, and that's fine. I don't blame them. I would have been too. Girls at that age are catty. They want the attention on them. They don't want the attention on anybody else, especially if it's a boy that they like. If that boy's not paying attention to them and paying attention to the new girl, like, of course they're going to be catty. I just wanted to make friends. I just wanted to be friends with everybody. I really didn't want to make enemies. Um, but in my middle school years, I really had some pretty mean girls, I guess you could say, that I had to deal with. Um, I, we were kids. I forgave them. And actually, my eighth grade year, the two that I didn't get along with the most, I'll never forget that moment either. I walked up to them and I decided to just apologize for everything that I said and did to them, and that I knew at least one of the girls was going to be going to high school with me, and I didn't want to continue the rest of my school years in a battle with these chicks. So we hugged, we forgave each other, and it was a very special moment, and I will never forget that. I will never forget that. I will never. And I hope you two remember that as well in home ec class. Like, it was like the last day of school. That hug was special, and it meant a lot to me. So I hope that that was something that changed both of your lives too, because it was important for me to have that kind of closure. Um, so thank you for going through that with me and understanding that I'm just human. I'm not perfect, and I'm not trying to be better than you. I never was. But I understand. So my middle school years were rough, man. I had like dog food cans thrown at me and shit. Just some mean shit. Fist fights, um, just really mean stuff. My lunch was stolen. I was taking ADHD medication, so my name would get called over the prompter, which was highly embarrassing. But I was ridiculed for that. I was called horrible names because I took ADHD medication so I could focus in class. It was hard to deal with all that. So, it just is what it is. Kids are mean. I was mean. I wasn't an angel. Most of my stuff was in defense, but I never I was never one to like really let people pick on me. I always stood up for myself, especially when nobody else was doing it. Especially when the teachers were disregarding it, which really bothered me because, you know, I didn't want to be like a tattletale or anything, but like if you went to a teacher and you asked for their help, they didn't do anything. Or I got punished. I got punished for being honest, for asking for help, which is strange because the teachers should be there to protect you. And I always thought that was weird. Like, you know, I'm pretty bullheaded when it comes to bullying. I don't think children should be put through that and have to accept that as a part of life. People should just be kind to each other. At that age, you know, like I said, girls are catty. You're learning. You're going through puberty. You're learning how life is, and you're kind of realizing that the world does not revolve around just you, which is something for a 12 through 16-year-old comprehending that thought. Like the world doesn't revolve around me. Or, no, you're wrong. It does too. Like what? So, yeah, middle school years. I mean, I have a lot of good memories too, but it was hard for me. It was hard for me. Definitely finding that friend group too. That was difficult. I didn't really find good friends of mine until probably, you know, my last years of high school. There was a couple of girlfriends I made that you know, lifelong friends. But even they're not there for me right now. And I know they're in the background. I've been watching my social media and watching everything I go through, and I feel your energy. I know you're still there, and I love you all very much. And, you know, even though you're not liking my post or sharing or anything, I know you're seeing it, and I'm glad because without your friendship, I probably wouldn't have made it through my teenage years. So, thank you. And, anyways, going back to elementary school, this is where the trauma gets hard for me because I was so young and innocent and I didn't understand anything. I thought it was all my fault because nobody ever told me it wasn't. And I think it's mostly because a lot of people didn't even know what I went through. A lot of the things in my family were swept under the rug. And, you know, I'm working through that because I'm the first one, I think, in my family that has not done it the way that they've all done it. I don't want to sweep things under the rug anymore. They need to be addressed immediately. People need to be made aware of things that happens. Like if something happened to my daughter, I would talk to her about it and reassure her daily that it's not her fault. She's so young that if something like that happened to her, oh my God, I can't even imagine. But if she was to go through something like that, being able to talk to her about it and help her heal through that is important. But not only that, being able to talk to family members and let them know, like, hey, she's been through this. You know, help her, be with her, help heal her, help show her that the world isn't like this. People aren't always like this. Not everyone is that evil. Not everyone has intentions for you like the person that did whatever they did. So that's something that I will definitely make sure that my children get full advantage of. I will be there for them when traumatic experiences, and heaven forbid anything happens, but if they do, they will have that support from me. It will not be swept under the rug. It will not be ignored or downplayed like it's nothing, because it's something. And at that age, it it leaves an imprint on you for your entire life. And the people you surround yourself with, you think that's how people are. I've been around narcissists my whole life because I thought that's all people were. I haven't met true, honest, genuine people. In some way or another, they're selfish and lack that mindset of just being a good person. And a lot of the times it's not even their fault, or they don't realize that they're like this. Or they may even think that they're God-fearing and go to church and think that they're living life the right way, but you're still gaslighting. You're still hurting people because you think you're better than them, or because they're not good enough for you. So yeah, anyways, when I was in second grade, my innocence was taken. And it wasn't just once. It was every day. Every day I would go home and was just shown things at a really young age. And it, it's hard to talk about this because I'm still working through this, the most recent trauma. So going through that until about, I think it was third grade, second, third, maybe fourth grade. I don't remember exactly. A lot of it's suppressed. I'm not going to go into actual details of what happened. Um, it wasn't like typical grape. I mean, it was, but it wasn't. There was no intercourse, but just other things that should not be done to a small child on a daily basis. It was almost like a house chore for me. Like it was one of my house chores. It's a really fucked up way to think about it, but I was just molded to think that it was my duty to do these things or to experience those things to help that person out because they couldn't address their own trauma or work through their own issues. They took it out on a small, innocent child, which is wrong. In about fourth grade, fifth grade, some of my family members actually know about this because there was an altercation between my brother and those boys, and one of the kids ended up getting beat up pretty badly. My brother got in quite a bit of trouble for that. He'd broken this kid's braces in half, and when he went to the orthodontist, it actually ended up being my aunt who repaired his braces. So, my family knew about the altercation between the boys and my brother. But I don't know if they know why my brother did what he did. He was defending his sister for something very heinous that happened because of how I was conditioned to accept certain favors. I was open and not scared of the idea of that kind of behavior. So I was in a situation where I was around 3 boys that were younger brothers of my oldest brother's friend. Yeah, that makes sense. They were the younger group of boys that were friends with my brother. So anyways, they, you know, they did their thing. And in fourth grade, that's so young for me to be running home crying because I'm bleeding and not understand why. I was terrified. I didn't know what was going on. All the kids were laughing at me, thought it was funny. It's fucked up. And then when I told the adult figures in my life, I told them what happened, and of course, they blamed themselves. And because of that, they never touched me again because they blamed themselves. I'm not saying it's all their fault, but ripple effect, right? So I'm still working through all of this. And the one thing that I've learned is that it's hard to work through. It's hard to heal from this kind of trauma. And the only thing that you can do is just keep putting one foot in front of the other and know that you are not what you've been through. I didn't deserve it. I never deserved it. But I'm grateful for the things that I've learned from all of it. I'm not grateful that it happened. I wish none of it ever happened. But had it not, I wouldn't be me. So ways that I'm working through this is meditation. I listen to Hertz healing music when I sleep at night. Also while I meditate. I do guided meditations as well as I'm starting to record my own guided meditations for other people because I know I have a healing, soothing voice. I've always been told I have a nice voice, so I've been working on that as well. The only thing that I can say, if you're going through any of these traumas, or if you have in the past, that life keeps going and whatever happened to you, you could be a better person because of it. You can help the younger generation heal from things that are not their fault. You could be a teacher and show them that love, keeping your faith, and not just God but yourself, it's important. It's important to work through your trauma. Don't give up on yourself. Keep going. Life has so many good things about it. I'm currently out in the woods right now enjoying nature, and it's beautiful. It's been raining for days, so taking advantage of being out in the muddy trail and listening to the healing waters down there. You do what you can to survive. You do what you can to grow and keep going. I have 3 children now. I don't have an option to tap out. That was never really something that I was capable of doing anyways. It's really not in my nature to want to do that. People in my life that have unalived themselves, I kind of held grudges against them because I felt like that was a sissy way out. Like, fuck it, just think like everything that I've been through, I'm still fucking here. The one thing happens to you and you just, why? Like, what a waste of life. There's so much more in life than the trauma. I'm ready to move on. I'm ready to continue living a happy, peaceful life. Alchemizing my trauma and transmuting the pain, the abuse, the neglect, the abandonment, the just everything. Like, you name it, I've been through it. And I do have a TikTok that I have pinned. It's the 3rd one, and it gives a brief preview of the life traumas that I've been through. I really didn't put everything on there. Like, there's more. There's more. And in the books that I'll be writing, I'll be going into further detail about each one of those because seriously, each trauma could be its own book. And you know, just know that if you're going through any of this, you're not alone. There are people around that can help, give you advice and healing and growing and moving forward. Put one foot in front of the other each day because it's worth it. It's worth it to heal from the trauma. It makes you stronger. It makes you resilient. It makes you know that whatever comes at you can't take you down. I channeled a message one day. I was just out writing in my journal and I wasn't necessarily thinking about what I want to write, so that's how I channel. I just start writing, and a lot of my videos that I make, it's free flow. I just start talking, and whatever comes out, comes out. But so I was channeling a message that day, and it was directed towards me, and how to keep moving forward. And one of the lines, I'll have to find my journal and read what I actually wrote because it was definitely a message from my spirit team and the Most High. It was powerful. So whatever you do, keep moving forward. Take the bricks from your past trauma, remove them, and put them in front of you, making a new path. Transmute the pain from the past and make a brighter future. If you lose faith, you'll lose your stepping. Continue placing brick by brick, and you'll find a path to your purpose. Don't forget who you are. Don't forget who you were. Try to discover who you're meant to be. I love you guys. I hope my story helped. It's not easy to talk about.